Hey guys, how's it going? Hope quarantine's going well. And, if you're locked down like we are here, uh, cabin fever, it's getting to me. But I've been watching a lot of movies, and I'm actually going to start with what I promised and talking about some of my favorites that are, I think, a little more underrated. Um, I just have some movies that I feel like people don't know about enough or just don't get enough credit. So we're going to start with The Mummy. And I'm not talking about the Tom Cruise crap. I'm talking about the original. No, no, okay, not the original. The original for my generation Mummy with Brendan Fraser. And we're going to talk about him in a minute too. But The Mummy. Um, it was made in 1999, so right before the turn of the century. So it has a lot of effects and everything. Stars Brendan Fraser, obviously, and Rachel Weisz, who's been in a lot of stuff recently. Like she's been, you know, she's had a pretty good career. She was in, I believe, the girl with the dragon tattoo. She's married to James Bond. She was in The Favorite, and she was in The Lobster. So a lot of actually both Yorgos Lanthimos movies. Interesting. Um, but yeah, so and it stars has Arnold Vosloo as the mummy. Um, I don't ever know what he's been in again. Actually, pretty much everybody else, I don't think I've ever seen them in anything else. No. There is one character who it was in Kingsman. He was the um, hateful presider of the congregation that the church that the massacre happens in. That's the only other person I've seen outside this movie. But that don't let that deter you because not every movie is good only because it's star-studded. Um, yeah, so The Mummy is, if you haven't seen it, it's basically about the resurgence of Mummy, and it's really cool. I mean, I'll keep this brief, but I mean, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's really funny. It's about these people who go into the desert to a place called Hamunaptra, two kind of groups, and Brendan Fraser, who plays O'Connell, Rick O'Connell, and this other guy who he was there with, who kind of abandoned him, are both leading two separate groups, and they're kind of having a competition to see who can get there first and get the mummy and everything. Get to the mummy. Well, they accidentally um, take this book and say a spell, and the mummy actually comes back to life. Um, and then all hell breaks loose. And I mean, it's got some really good ideas. There's like a resurgence of the plagues. There's a lot of really funny moments. There's obviously the competition. I like the kind of bet that they have to see who can get the Hominopter first. There is a really cool scene involving an airplane and like the mummy's face sort of in the sand. And I honestly believe that that was something that was looked at when trying to come up with how the Horcrux is being destroyed was going to look in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, because Voldemort's face is in the smoke, in the water, and the fire, and it looks exactly like the mummy's face in the sand. Um, so I think it's actually influenced a bit on some other movies. And I was watching behind the scenes on how they made the mummy and everything, and they were really trying to um, incorporate things from the original. And I gotta be honest, like this movie still creeps me out. Like it scared the crap out of me when I was younger, even though I loved it. Like I even love the parts that weren't about the mummy. That normally would be kind of boring. But I thought it was. I mean, I loved the parts that even without it, just because it was that interesting and that funny. Um, but the parts with the mummy scared the crap out of me, and any other mummies that kind of come along with it. And so um, as I've gotten older, it still has creeped me out, and there's still some moments that definitely creep me out. Like even things that don't have to do specifically with the mummy, but like somebody's eyes get ripped out. I mean, I can't look. I can't look at it. Um, but yeah, I mean, just I don't want to say too much if you haven't seen it yet. But this movie has some really great ideas. It's super funny, and Brendan Fraser like kills it. Both Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, they're great in this movie. Um, but it doesn't, for some reason, like the only love I've seen it get in the last like decade is like, oh well, the Tom Cruise one wasn't as good as the original. the hell does that mean? And okay, and also the second one gets a lot of flack for the CGI Rock Scorpion King. I'm not talking about the second one, even though I kind of like that one too. I'm talking about the original. It's got just like it's a really interesting idea. Like a, a little bit of a twist on the original Mummy, which I think was Boris Karloff as well. It's just it's a really good like kind of adventure movie while also being kind of horror. Like it's got both of those mixed in a little bit. It's got a lot of humor, and the end is just a really cool. And I gotta be honest, for the time, the visual effects, the time, God, it was like 20 years ago, and I'm talking like it's like a decade. I mean, like a century ago. But for the time, the visual effects weren't incredible yet, in terms of what we know now. Uh, but they were still really good in this movie. They were particularly good. Obviously they used a mix of practical and visual effects, but um, yeah. So I would definitely highly recommend The Mummy. If I mean, because for us in quarantine, we don't have time. We don't have anything to do. We've got time. We've got time out the wazoo. But I would recommend watching The Mummy. It is like it's like I said, super funny and just a shit ton of fun. And it's just if you sit down with a group of people, you're really going to enjoy it. I mean, I particularly the famous line, probably out of the whole movie, is the part where they get separated in a river, like on each side of a river, going to Hamunaptra, and the one guy's like, "O'Connell, looks to me like I've got all the horses," and then O'Connell's like, "Hey Benny, looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river." I love that part so much. Um, Man, yeah, that. But like jokes like that, really funny lines like that are scattered all throughout this movie. So please go watch it. Give Brendan Fraser some love. And I say that because I have something else really quick I want to talk about. Why y'all hating on my man Brendan Fraser? He is like one of my favorite actors, and of course he hasn't been in anything in like the last decade and a half. But for some reason he gets all this hate. And I just really quickly want to go over why that is dumb. He is a genuinely nice guy. And everybody says that he's like not a good actor. People have been wondering, this whole like, what happened to Brendan Fraser? Why isn't he in the spotlight anymore? Well, a couple of things. I did some research on this. His mom died of cancer. He said by the making of the third Mummy, he was physically just broken. He was living on ice packs. He got groped at a luncheon in like 2003, so basically sexually assaulted. And also just the fame, and he was going through a lot of depression. There was a lot going on with him. Plus the fact that people were like, "Oh, he's not a good actor. Oh, what happened to Brendan Fraser? Oh, he's kind of this nothing." And people wouldn't cast him. Hollywood didn't like him for some reason. At least a lot of this is rumors. I don't know completely in depth, but a lot of this is rumor. Like what I've seen around the internet. And but like in various like different points, so it's all true. But I just don't understand why he gets. I mean, he's a super nice guy. He has been in a lot of movies that everybody loved. Like, I mean, he's been in The Mummy. He's been in Journey to the Center of the Earth. He was in. There was a basketball movie. I haven't seen it, but I know there was just this scene where he was sweating a lot. Apparently, it was really funny. George of the Jungle. So, okay, not big movies that we like, but really like adventure movies, fun things that we like. He's a cool guy. He was a, I mean, he like when he was in movies. I don't know what he's the most recent thing I know he's done now is he was in an Extraordinary Measures with Harrison Ford, and he was in for a year um an FX show called Trust. It was like 10 episodes. I think it was a limited series. But just look at him. Just take a minute to look at him. That is the face of somebody trying to be happy. That is the face of a nice guy. He doesn't deserve the flack. Anyway, my camera's about to die. I just wanted to get that out. Please love Brendan Fraser. Give him some love.